I still got my hoodie on because realistically I'm not gonna get my hair cut until maybe Thursdays. So you might have to see me like this for the next few days, you guys. I hope you're cool with that. You know, I'm not trying to offend you with my terrible hairline right now because I know there's a few hairline police officers out there. So you know what? I'm not trying to give you guys anything today, but I'm in the FC. This is Blue Lines TV, and welcome to today's Talking Points video where, of course, I'll be discussing the big moments from yesterday's big win against Burnley. And due to that, I'm going to focus on 3 points today. I'll be talking about Reece James, I'll be talking about Hudson-Odoi, and I'll be talking about Andreas Christensen. So you guys are going to enjoy. And if you want to show that you do, remember to smash that like button. Help me get over 1,500 likes. And at that point, we get straight into the first point for today. And we start with Reece James. Now we move on to a player that, of course, we had to talk about for his unbelievable performance against Burnley. And that's Reece James. I was waiting for this guy to make his introduction to the first team for a very long time because I knew what he was going to bring to the team. I knew just how valuable his assets and qualities were. And against Burnley, you guys, as I said in the review, as I said in the player ratings video, it was one of the best offensive fullback performances I've seen in a Chelsea shirt for a very long time. I mean, Reece's delivery is just incredible that it's really given us another dimension now. That's how important his introduction to this team has been. We never used to have a right-hand side. Nothing would happen there. Moves would only get broken down, the play would get slowed down, and because of how static we were down the right hand side, well, it made it very easy for opposition teams to keep their defensive structure knowing that nothing was going to come down that side. But with Reece now, with his ability to break forward in the final third, maintain quality possession in the final third, and put in world-class crosses in the 6-yard box, 18-yard box, he can play the type of cross anywhere he wants to do. It's given us a completely different outlet, and I feel that maybe teams might struggle a bit against us now because they've been so used to preparing to stop us down that left-hand side where for the past few years we've solely been playing down and focusing our attacks down that left-hand side. But with Reece in the team, we finally have that quality player that can be left out wide by himself, and because of this it means that Reece has so much space to play in any type of ball he wants. But the thing is, with Reece James, he doesn't need to have acres of space to play quality balls, as we saw with that assist. This guy's quality in techers is unreal. That type of cross he put in from that angle, sensational. How many players have you seen over the years putting in any type of delivery with that type of quality? It hasn't happened other than maybe Callum Hudson-Odoi. I know it's hyperbolic to suggest that we're seeing a legend in the making, but you guys, I've watched football for a very long time. Is the reason why you guys follow me and subscribe to me on YouTube too, because you trust my opinion, because you guys know that I spend a lot of time researching, watching and following the game. It's something that's a part of my life. I love football and I've been doing it since I was a kid. And when I say that I haven't really seen a right back recently with this type of quality and source, ability and confidence, because for God's sake, when Reece James plays, I'm not seeing a 19-year-olds. This guy looks seasoned as hell. Have you seen his facial expressions when he plays? He doesn't rise up to anything, he don't react to anything. He plays the game like he knows that he's been good for too long. He plays the game like it's too easy for him. And it's very rare that you see such a young player with such elite mentality. Reece James really is the real deal, you guys. And don't be surprised that one day he becomes a Chelsea legend for us because he's really sensational. Now we move on to the second talking point, and that's in regards to Callum Hudson-Odoi. Now this was a pretty emotional game for the player. This time last year playing against Burnley was when he first picks up his Achilles injury. He came back yesterday, and you know, for players that could have maybe weaker mentalities, they might have felt a bit nervous playing against Burnley. You know, you're playing against a club where you got this injury that put you in such a bad position that you're now struggling to get that confidence back to get back to your normal game. And this is what I love about Lampard's man management. He understands that if you want players to get back to their best form, give them a challenge, believe in them, and get them to have that inner confidence in their own game and their own ability. I mean, for example, Christensen playing against Burnley yesterday. As I said in the first point, who is leaving out Zuma and Tamori to play Christensen, who's believed to be the weakest centre-back at the club? Who's doing that against Burnley? But it was a masterstroke, and because of that, Christensen was our best centre-back. So this is why I'm really excited by how Lampard is using Hudson-Odoi for him to record his first Premier League goal against that opposition as well. Hopefully that has a massive psychological boost for the player. You know, we're not seeing Callum really expressing himself with that saucy play like he used to do back in the day, but that doesn't mean that we'll never see that again. We just need to be patient as a fan base. Against Burnley, as the game went on, Hudson-Odoi was starting to express himself a lot more. And the point I want to talk about, you guys, before I move on to the third point, is how we analyse Hudson-Odoi. Because I feel like a lot of people think that maybe he's just like a 4-star winger that just bombs down the wings and puts a cross in. There's a lot more to his game than that. When he isn't running at people, he has a ton more in his locker room. And this is why Hudson-Odoi is valued so much. You know, most kids his age at 18 years old, if you take away their best attribute in their dribbling abilities, well, you notice that their overall game is a bit limited. But with Hudson-Odoi, this is not the case at all. The guy can play on the left, on the right. Yesterday's game, he showed just how much of a brilliant football player he is and just how good his overall game is. When my guy plays these switch balls, the trajectory, the dip, the weight, and when I compare that style of pass from Callum to guys like your Jorginhos and your Covers who rarely have that same type of conviction in their long passes, well, then it's only something that I can give more praise to Hudson-Odoi. In yesterday's game, you guys, we saw his intelligence when it comes to his positioning as well. We saw his ability to help create team moves in the final thirds. And the thing I liked too was that Callum was comfortable putting in a shift. How many times did he drop deep alongside Reece James against Burnley? It's happened a lot. And at this point in time, is Hudson-Odoi slowly getting back to his very best? Potentially. And the best thing to really make sure that he continues on in his development maybe is to play him down the right hand side for a bit. Now let's remember, you guys, you know, throughout the game there's going to be times where our wingers are going to interchange positions, but when we saw how Callum played alongside Reece, that combinational play, the understanding of where everyone was going to be, well, the reason why I think it looks so fluid against Burnley is because these guys have played together in the academy for years. And we've seen other teams really profit from this style of squad management where you do introduce young players from your academy into your first team. I've seen it with Lyon, I've seen it with Barcelona, Ajax, etc, etc. And the one valuable thing that you cannot take away is that understanding. And I think a lot of times that is something that gets forgotten about from fans. It's not something we consider as much, but it really does have a massive impact in regards to how you can break down teams and how fluid you play as a team. Personally, I think Hudson-Odoi is starting to get back to his very best. It's exciting to see you guys. In the comments below, give me your thoughts and opinions. Do you think that Callum is getting back to his best? Finally, what position does Callum need to play in? Continue down the left hand side or start only down the right hand side? Make sure you guys let me know. Now, to end things with the third point for today, we need to talk about Andreas Christensen and whether he's been able to turn things around and win back a first team spot. Now, the reason why I want to speak about him is because it feels like there's been a massive 180-degree spin in the fan base when it comes to their opinions on Christensen and their analysis of the player. Now, before that game against Burnley yesterday, the things I was constantly hearing about Christensen was that he was overrated, he hasn't developed, he's too weak, he gets knocked down to the floor easily, and maybe he's the weakest defender we have right now. And because of that, we should consider selling the guy and bring someone else better who happens to go by the name of Koulibaly, because for some reason some people still think that Koulibaly is going to be signed by this club at Koulibaly's big age with his big transfer fee, etc, etc. So basically it felt like the fan base's confidence in Christensen was waning. It wasn't really there, and it was a massive far cry from the player that first got his name under Conte, who was playing week in week out, putting some excellent performances, especially in Europe as well. And you guys, it's for those games that Christensen has already displayed and showed us. It's been the reason why I still vouch for the player. I still believe in him, and I hope that we never sell him, because there is a top quality player in this guy. And the only thing that's been holding him back recently is injuries and working under certain managers. Now, even though I really like Sarri a lot, I think one mistake that Sarri constantly makes is that he can be a bit too stubborn when it comes to his decision making. Now, last season when he came to the club, he kind of made it known to Christensen immediately that he wasn't really going to be in his first team plans. He never liked the fact that he didn't have that typical Italian grinta. You know, that nastiness, that physicality that someone like a Rudiger has. And because of that, it was obvious that Sarri just didn't really place his trust in one of Europe's best young and promising centre-backs. And Obviously and naturally, that is going to have a psychological impact on a player and his confidence. Now, when you play in defense, it's completely different to playing in other positions because it's all about stability and consistency, and you can only get those things when you're playing week in and week out. When you play in defense, it's a partnership. You're trying to build a relationship with your centre-back partner, and over time, as these guys consistently play together and really work on each other's strengths and weaknesses, that's how you get a formidable partnership. That's how it works. And I want to say it's great that Frank Lampard has so much belief in our young players. And this is what I love about him. It feels like for the first time ever, we have a manager that isn't bullshitting, isn't talking shit. He means what he says and he stands by it because his actions forever show what Lampard's intentions are really about. Most managers, especially managers that have managed us, would never have considered using Christensen against Burnley yesterday. Not with guys like Chris Wood up front, very physical, very big. But in yesterday's game, Lampard stood by the player, believed in him, showed him that confidence, publicly told everyone that Christensen ain't going to Milan, he is staying at this club, and it's purely down to Andreas fighting for his spot in the team. And you guys, is it really that ironic that when Lampard said those words in the press conference, the following day in the game yesterday, Christensen puts in a top quality performance against a team in Burnley where a lot of people thought that he'd be found out physically, he'd get bullied, he'd get knocked to the floor, but that's not what Christensen's ever been about. Yeah, of course, he is a bit lightweight at times, but we can't dismiss his impact in the game, not with how he reads the game, he reads danger, how he gets his body on the line, and how he plays out from the back. And I think yesterday, his passing out from the back was something that really impressed the fan base. So all I can say to this point, you guys, is we need to do something different in 2020. Let's not be so critical and harsh and so quick to rule our judgments on players when there could be so many circumstances happening behind the scenes that are affecting their form. Because that's what happens in football. Christensen has that ability. I love that Lampard believes in him. And honestly, the guy has only needed a confidence boost. That's all he's needed. And I'm hoping that Lampard is going to be the manager to bring that to Chris. I'll tell you guys straight, ideally for my personal centre-back partnership, I still want to see Zuma and Christensen, but that's just for me, you guys. In the comment section below, do you think that Christensen should stay? Do you believe in him? Do you think that he has the ability to play first team football? Let me know your thoughts and opinions, because I really feel when it comes to Christensen, there's so many varied opinions from people out there that would be really interesting to really gauge what everyone's thinking. But anyway, you guys, that's going to be me for today. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Sorry for the edit. I've got plans today. I can't spend too much time. I've got 2 videos to release too. You know, I love doing this, but sometimes it can be a bit draining to your social life. But it is what it is. So on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. There is going to be a news video later out today as well, so stay tuned for that. I'm the EFC, this is Blue Lions TV. I'll see you guys in a bit.